Hello and welcome back to the DJ Frequency. Dino, great to see you.
You too, my friend. How are you?
Always good, Dino. Always good when we get to sit down and talk music. And you put forward on the plate of podcasts for today's episode the songs we remember our parents playing. And obviously, we're there, we're forced to listen to it, but then it becomes a part of us. Dino, I'm excited about today.
It is a good one. I mean, my parents loved their music. They had a big vinyl collection. My dad was sort of in the entertainment industry, so we used to have a few gatherings at our house late at night, and yeah, it was. I remember it well.
Well, I've got my first song that I remember. This song reminds me of my mum. Going back to 2002, so I don't even know how old I was. I would have been 5 or 6. Nora Jones, Don't Know Why.
I don't know why I didn't come. I left you by the house of fun.
Lovely song, isn't it?
Lovely. Calm in a noisy world. After decades of loud rock and pop, Nora Jones arrived with something a little bit disarming, a bit more gentle. Her smooth vocals, jazzy phrasing, and that understandable piano that would just come through, and it was just a nice breath of fresh airs for 2000s radio. Why it works? Well, it stuck. It won 3 Grammys, including Record of the Year. It reminded everyone to emotionally just kind of be honest with yourself, and emotional singing never goes out of style. I Don't Know Why is timeless because it sounds like a conversation between a heart and a soul over morning tea.
Goodness gracious. Your mum's a very refined lady then, obviously.
Well, she would like to believe so, but this song used to get smashed on, I think we had it on tape, or it was definitely CD. I remember my mum getting so upset because her CD was scratched, and she got me to bike down to the Video Easy, and they had like a disc cleaning kit, and you could pay $5 and they would clean your discs. And she made me go down because she's like, "You've scratched it because you took out my CD." I think it was fine. And then I learned how to download music off LimeWire and FrostWire and all those good websites that we had, and I made her a Nora Jones mix many years later. But Nora Jones was always on, and that's why it's on my list.
Wasn't it funny how people were like that about CDs? And what we learned later was you could scratch them as much as you like, and they pretty much worked anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
We were very precious about our CDs and looking after them in the very beginning. I remember that well.
Have those little like cases and stuff, like, don't take it out, don't take my CD out, no, and then you realize actually these are just, I don't even think it mattered, right? Like the encryption was deeper, like was a deeper layer or something on the CD, but I
think so.
Yeah, something like that. I haven't used a CD in years.
Me either. I've got a collection out the back of some of my favorite stuff that I've sort of never given up, but it's pretty small now. I think I've got about 20 or 30 out there.
Yeah, when would you listen to them?
Never, but they're nice to have.
Exactly.
Well, my first one is a song that probably everybody knows, I would think. I remember my dad playing it on his guitar, and I remember him rocking. We had the album in the collection as well. The Doobie Brothers, Listen to the Music. Great tune, eh? I mean, you can't go past it. I remember my dad used to be able to play it on the guitar. He wasn't much of a singer. He was an okay singer, but he was an entertainer. So he harks back to the days of the dine and dance where you went to a dinner and a show. And he was in the show. So they did like Long John Silver nights and Robin Hood nights and all these different themes. And he was always sort of the main character, if you like. But I remember having some gatherings back at our house after work, and people there, and used to get up in the middle of the night and try and hide in the corner and listen to what was going on. But I remember this song playing, Listen to the Music. Yeah, fantastic song. But I mean, the Doobie Brothers too. I mean, Californian Boys off the album Toulouse Street that was off. But it was really driven by acoustic guitars. And one thing about the Doobie Brothers that people might not realize is they had two drummers, dual drummers, and that's really what they were kind of their little point of difference, if you like. And two drummers that played exactly the same thing. So really interesting.
That's different.
And it was their producer Ted Templeman had the idea to using two drummers, and it's just been a hallmark of their sound now for years.
Dino, you'll know this. Is that normal, or is that quite an odd thing to do in bands? Two drummers.
Oh, two drummers like that with two drum kits. Yeah, it's very unique. It does give a different sound, though. It gives a much sort of fuller sound, I guess. It's not uncommon to have a drummer with percussionists, that might be doing some bongos and some other sort of percussion instruments. But yeah, very, very unique to have two separate drummers.
Yeah, that's it. What an interesting fact. I did not know. I know the song. I know the Doobie Brothers, but I definitely didn't know that they had two drummers. And what a song to remember your parents with, like that, and your old man rocking out to it.
Yeah. And only ever reached number 11 in the Hot 100. Never got the top 10, believe it or not.
Song that still definitely gets chucked on from time to time. It's a shed party song. It's probably still on some radios. I haven't heard that on my show for a while, but it's a good pick. I like it.
Thank you, my man.
Dino, this song again, another song that will be known. You know the song 1976. It needs no introduction. The Eagles, Hotel California.
Welcome to the Hotel California. Such a lovely place, such a lovely...
You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave.
This song again reminds me of my parents, mainly my dad. My dad loved the Eagles, and I didn't know why at the time, because I'm a kid and you're just listening to music and it's up loud while mum and dad are doing housework. But with lyrics about a luxury hotel that turns out to be a trap, it kind of becomes a bit of a metaphor, which is about the American dream and the delusional ideas around the American dream. But as a kid, I didn't know what the heck they were singing about. They called it their interpretation of the high life in LA, where success is often visible with strings that you can't see. Who's pulling the real strings? The layered acoustic guitar, of course, the mystical riffs and picking, and just cool wind in my hair. These lyrics that really painted a picture. It was almost poetry. And even now, when the song comes on, welcome to the it hits till this day. I think, again, a timeless song, but this reminds me of my dad. And what a song. 1976, the Eagles, Hotel California. Dino, do you know much about this song? Do you know much about the Eagles?
Oh, 100%. I love the Eagles. I mean, I know a lot about the Eagles. Yeah. One of the things I used to love about the Eagles was Don Henley, the drummer, used to do most of the singing. And I love a singing drummer. Hotel California, he's the vocalist on that. It's a real sort of metaphorical song. There's a lot of lyrics in there that on the face of it seem to have a very simple meaning of this hotel somewhere in the middle of nowhere where it's a bit windy. And you can go there, but there's something magical about this place where you can never leave. But yeah, so metaphorical that I was a young kid when that song came out. And heard it, as I got older. It took the lyrics very literally. As you get older, you realize they're not so literal.
It's a great song, and I think to this day, and even beyond our time, that song will live on.
I play it every week, at least once a week on my live stream.
Yeah, it's a banger.
My second one, Neil Diamond, Sweet Caroline.
So good, so good.
Not so much for its iconic sort of pub rock kind of anthem status, more because of an album called Hot August Night. Neil Diamond. Neil Diamond's Hot August Night was recorded in the Greek Theatre in Los Angeles over I think 3 or 4 nights in August 1972. It's a double LP, and it really captures Neil Diamond's really dynamic connection that he had with his audience. featured songs, I sort of picked Sweet Caroline as the best well-known one.
Yeah.
I remember it was quite different on the Hot August Night album than it was on the studio recording. The energy and emotion in the performances is what really makes the difference. So much energy, and it's captured just incredibly well. It spent 29 years in the charts in Australia, becoming one of the country's best-selling albums of all time. 29 years in I think the top 200 charts.
Shit, that is my lifetime. Like that's a long time.
I was fascinated by the cover. The cover of Hot August Night was just Neil Diamond in this really rock and roll kind of look where he's covered in sweat. He's got the microphone in his hand and he's got this look on his face that just says, I'm delivering it right now.
Yo.
Very, very powerful cover.
And so was that a song that you would hear your parents play quite frequently, or was that
my dad used to play the album a lot back to back,
Yep.
and weekends and stuff like that. I remember, and I remember playing it after school when he wasn't there and stuff too, you know. So, but we were always, if I would pick a side that I wanted to hear, the whole side. I wasn't picking it up and changing songs. I was listening to a whole side.
which we've talked about before, the magic in playing a whole record through or a whole Spotify playlist or an album, because it just does the justice of the whole body of work.
Especially when it's a live album like that too, because you're immersed in that live experience, and to be jumping around songs doesn't make sense because it takes away from the whole delivery of the show that he was trying to put together for you.
Yeah, we might have to talk about that on another episode, because there's definitely albums out there where you can just pick a song and go from there. But there are a lot of albums where you have to do it justice by running through track 1 to track 20 or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, we will.
Dino, a song that I remember my parents and my parents' friends just vibing out to. A good next door neighbor. They were we called them cousins. They weren't no blood relation, but they were basically cousins, like a lot of people in New Zealand. Everyone's a cousin, an auntie, or an uncle. And
Yep.
so our cousins, they lived down the road. And my uncle, Alistair, he was a audiophile. Like, I'm talking to the point where he would spend so much money on these speaker systems, the point to where he would have to tell everyone who came over, hey kids, you can't touch this. You can come close, you can look at it, but you can't touch it. There was one that had a light bulb on it. There was a fuse. I don't even remember the company that made it, but it was worth a lot of money. And this song, 1979, Freddie Mercury, Queen, Don't Stop Me Now.
I'm traveling at the speed of light. I wanna make a supersonic man out of you. Don't stop me now. I'm having such a good.
That is a song and a half. What a powerful song that is.
I don't know much about the song other than what we've talked about, the legendary Queen and, of course, Freddie Mercury. But this wasn't really one of their massive hits at release. But now it's one of Queen's most streamed and beloved songs, thanks to movies like Shaun of the Dead and countless party playlists on Spotify. It's still impossible for me to sit still when this song comes on. If I get the zoomies like a dog, I get the zoomies when the song comes on. It's happy. You listen to the lyrics and it just, you're having a good time and you don't want to stop, and nothing's going to slow me down. I'm going to get it. I'm going to party, and you can't stop me now. I'm unstoppable until the song ends at 3 minutes 25. But Queen, Don't Stop Me Now. I remember my parents partying hard with the aunties and uncles, and we'd be watching the rugby, and then after the rugby game, because my cousins had a big TV, and we'd all go and watch it on the Sky Sports or whatever it was at the time. And then they would party and they would drink. And I remember falling asleep in the lounge room on the couch, listening to the noise and the parents outside having a cigar, or it could have been a doobie, but I don't know. I was young and just being not invited to be there, but it was like I got to see the world of your parents, like after hours, when you're normally supposed to be asleep. I would just be kind of zoning out on the couch, listening to the murmurs of the afternoon, evening. And I loved that feeling.
Well, that song in particular is, I just remember the power of it. It works so well in movies as well. And what I'm picking out of this now with these songs you're picking is, I think your mum and dad might be about my age.
Yeah, they very much could be Dino, which is, and we don't need to say how old we are because,
No,
but when you're pushing 70, if you're
it's only,
watching this,
only
you'll
because
know.
I like the tone of our podcast that I won't flip the bird at you right now. I don't mind I'm 56 years old. I don't mind saying that. I'm very proud of it.
So my parents are a bit older than that. My mum just turned 70, and my dad is, I think he's 62.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, they're a bit older than me. Yeah, that would have. Yeah, I guess people have babies at different ages and things, but
They do. Yes, so I was the third. I was the last one. So
right, gotcha.
my older sister. I've got an older sister and an older brother, and I'm the baby.
There you go. That makes sense. But still, similar taste in music, I think, by the
Yeah.
sound of it. The next one for me, one that really does remind me of my dad. He had 4 or 5 of these guys' albums. They were a UK band formed in the late 50s, well known, originally the backing band for Cliff Richard. Originally called themselves the Drifters, changed their name in 1950 or 1960 to the Shadows. And I remember this song, Apache.
Dino, not one that comes to mind. I've never heard this song.
Oh, the Shadows are an unlikely looking band, and you see them on the cover of the album. Core members were Hank Marvin, Bruce Welch, Jet Harris, and Tony Meehan. Helped to pioneer the UK sort of instrumental sound. There's no vocals; it's all guitar instrumental. They become one of Britain's most successful bands in their own right, scoring numerous #1 hits in the early 60s, songs like Wonderful Land. There's one called FBI, Kon-Tiki, and this song Apache. Apache was actually a cover written by these guys going to escape me now, doesn't matter. But Hank Marvin played a clean sort of Fender Stratocaster tone, a really haunting sort of echo. If you ever listen to Apache one day, it was a defining moment in instrumental rock. It topped the UK singles charts for 5 weeks, influenced generations of guitarists. Melody, twangy tone, synonymous with early British rock is how it progressed. But my dad loved the Shadows because he was a guitar player, so he used to like to pick along with it and try and play along, and then try and play it by himself later. He was a pretty good guitar player.
Did he ever come close to mastering the song for you?
I don't know if he mastered it. I think he had bits of it worked out pretty well. So he'd play bits of it and then move on to something else. So I think he had pieces worked out. Don't know if he ever played the whole thing though. But he could play a lot of songs, and he could sing a little bit, as I said before.
Do you play any instruments, Dino, other than air
Oh,
guitar?
I can. Other than I'm a brilliant air guitarist, probably one of the best in the globe. But no, I can play a few chords on the guitar. I can play by ear a little bit on keyboards, but no, I wouldn't call myself a musician by any stretch.
Yeah, that's so cool that your old man had that skill. Playing guitar is very fun, and when someone plays it well, even if it is just little bits of songs, it's just nice because sometimes you don't want to hear the full song anyway. You just want to hear the best bits.
Well, as a 56-year-old man, one of my biggest regrets in life, if I had any regrets, was not learning a musical instrument. I would have loved to have known how to play the piano, for example.
Life's not over yet, Dino. I'm just saying.
Well, I wonder where I get the time to sit down and learn guitar. I have got a guitar out the back. Hey, who knows?
Never say never, please, Dino. Never say never. We could do a little DJ frequency challenge you to learning a song. Maybe we could do that.
Oh God, don't even.
You'll know this group. I think we've mentioned them before. 1996, the song was released by the Smashing Pumpkins. It's 1979.
Shakedown 1979.
Your parents were rocking, bro.
Yeah, they had good music taste.
Oh,
And
I
you'll
want to
say,
grow up at your house.
yeah, exactly. It was really fun. And I think what I liked about growing up with my family is other than the love, and we were given everything that they could afford. I know they wanted to give us more, but we had lots of love and we always had lots of music around, and we were allowed to express ourselves with music. And obviously, me, I love my hip hop, I love my dance music, and it was so accepted by mum and dad, all the music we liked, but we had to kind of go through the process of learning their music. Why this song is important, I loved the name, the Smashing Pumpkins. I just thought when Dad would say, "Oh, I'm going to put on some of the Pumpkins or some Smashing Pumpkins," and I just thought it was so interesting. And I don't know what album it was, but I remember we had a CD and it had a cool graphic on it, and it was the Smashing Pumpkins album. I don't know which one, but I remember looking through the CDs, and it was my job to make sure they were all in order. And this one just kind of, it had a bit of everything, a bit of melancholy, a bit of sadness, but it kind of was heavy enough to cut through. It's still played on radio to this day. Like, this song will play once a week on the breakfast show. It's a tune. The Smashing Pumpkins, again, I don't know much about them, but I know that when I hear the Smashing Pumpkins or see it, I think of my dad. And I think that's why music is so important to us, because when they're dead and gone, we will always have memories when it comes to our parents. And it's nice. It's nice to be able to connect with these memories again. So you're Smashing Pumpkins, 1979.
Yeah, what a tune, right in the middle of that big grunge explosion that we're talking about, the Smashing Pumpkins. So we're right in amongst it. Anyway, my next one, a song that everybody's going to know again.
To be free, come together right now over me.
Instantly makes you feel good.
Oh, it does. I mean, it was originally written, I don't know if you know, it was originally written for a political campaign for a guy by the name of Timothy Leary, a politician. And then Lennon reworked it into a sort of moody, cryptic kind of surreal imagery, kind of, I don't know, ghostly sort of song. It opens Abbey Road, and that's the Beatles' very last album, of course. Abbey Road, the last album they recorded. It's built on Paul McCartney's big fluid bass line, that dum, 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 really deep, and Ringo Starr's really minimal sort of grooving behind, a very tight but a very minimal sort of groove. The song, it's got a smoky sort of bluesy feel, and the whispered vocals, I guess, in parts, and the really odd sort of collage of lyrics, I guess you could say, that creates a real mood and a real vibe. The Come Together was the Beatles' last chart-topping single, reaching #1 in the US, #4 in the UK. And it's often sort of cited as a precursor to the funk rock sort of sound of the 1970s, and sort of kicking off that kind of feel. I just remember the song being played late at night at our house. I remember it being played during the day. I remember playing it myself. First song, side one. You always listen to it.
Great song. And that feeling of the song, it is whimsical. It makes you feel a certain way. I think it was used on an ad in New Zealand when I was younger.
Probably was. It doesn't come to mind for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that sparks my brain. But also now,
tell us in the comments. Tell us in the comments if you know.
Yes, tell us. Of course, tell us in the comments. Dino, I recently saw a little kind of tidbit on Reddit. I was going down the musical rabbit holes, and this is just all rumors. The rumor was that the Beatles would frequently orgy together. And I don't know, because now you're telling me about the political side of the song and where it stems from. But someone in the comments said, "Oh, listening to the song Come Together makes a whole lot more sense." And I kind of thought, hold on, like who from the Beatles, which member is, leaking the fact that these guys all were in orgies together at one stage? But then I'm like, it kind of makes sense. They were rock stars. They had anyone they wanted. Maybe they were coming together.
Apparently, we're going for listening minutes through controversy, are we?
But I'm just saying.
I've heard so many different conspiracy theories and different rumors about the Beatles,
Yeah.
different things over the years, but I have never, ever heard that one.
It's probably just
I
some
might,
bullshit.
I could be proven completely wrong. Maybe it is something I just don't know about. But there's the old Paul McCartney's dead thing. There's John Lennon's still alive thing. Anyway, it sounds like a rabbit hole for a whole series of podcasts.
Yeah, music conspiracies, and I already have another one about Marilyn Manson that I'm sure we could dive down, but we'll say that for another episode, and I know you know it too. Dino, the number one song that I had to pick, and these go in no order, but this one's definitely the number one. Dire Straits, Sultans of Swing.
With the Sultans, with the Sultans of Swing.
Oh,
Tune.
yeah, dude, I don't know what to say. You've just coming up with some bangers today. That guitar solo on that song is just, magic song.
Story time that just stood out. It stood out in the late 70s, a time that was dominated by punk and disco flash, written because old mate, now I can't pronounce his last name, Mark, is it
Knopfler.
Knopfler. Okay.
Knopfler.
So old mate Mark Knopfler, he stumbled into a bit of a dive bar in London. It was a pub, dive pub, and it was empty, but there was a band with the name of the Sultans of Swing. And apparently, according to Mark, they were just rocking. They were putting their blood, sweat, and tears in. And he was inspired by the irony and the charm of that, because real musicians play regardless if it's a million people or one person in the pub. They were playing for the pure love of it, and it became the breakout hit. It just redefined what was cool guitar playing, and it sounded and it proved that it didn't need distortion. It didn't need to be a certain way. It worked perfectly. And that guitar solo, just the soul tunes, just magic. Magic.
Yeah, awesome lyrics, great hook. Yeah. I don't know where you start with Sultans of Swing. It's just such a good song. I can listen to it over and over. I know it word for word. Probably sing it all right too, I think.
A three, two.
No, I don't think so.
Dire Straits, they've got a back catalogue of great music, and the only other one would be Brothers in Arms that I could relate to, but these were songs that my dad would play over and over again, and Sultans of Swing was definitely one that I remember being chucked up on the stereo system that we had, and he always made sure that if I was making him a playlist on CDs for his truck, Dad's a truck driver, he would always make sure Dire Straits, Sultans of Swing was on the mix. It's really cool.
Beautiful song, man. Love it. Which brings me down to my last one, and it was a little ditty that I used to love because the TV show was being repeated on TV when I was a kid. And I'm talking about that fabricated band called the Monkees and the song The Last Train to Clarksville.
Take the last train to Clarksville. I'll be waiting at the station. We'll have time for coffee, for later kisses, and a bit of...
I know the Monkees. I don't know this song.
Well, Last Train to Clarksville is an interesting one. The Monkees, formed in 1965 for a TV show about a fictional pop band inspired by the Beatles' Hard Day's Night. Mickey Dolenz, Davy Jones, Mike Nesmith, and Peter Tork really became really quick real-life stars. And initially controlled by producers and studio musicians, they fought for creative independence and eventually wrote and performed their own material. So their debut single that they released in 1966 was written by Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart. It was an old classic, catchy pop rock tune they tuned it into, Last Train to Clarksville. It had a hidden anti-war message. It tells the story of a man catching a train to meet his lover before setting off to saying goodbye to his wife and setting off to war, basically. Subtle reflection on the Vietnam War. It's got jangly guitars, really sort of upbeat tempo and harmonies. I didn't understand, and it really captures that sort of, that British invasion sort of sound. It captures that brilliantly. Hit number one on the Billboard Hot 100. It really set the Monkees on their huge sort of rise through the mid-late 60s. Clarksville's not a real place. It was just chosen. The name was chosen because it fit the song. Coincidentally, though, there is a Clarksville in Clarksville, Tennessee, but it wasn't named after that.
The fact that they started so they were obviously actors formed for a TV show.
They did, and I think there's a couple of them that didn't even play an instrument, had to learn how to play instruments. None of them were singers. They were just, picked they were picked to front a TV show with other musicians playing in the studio for their show, completely controlled by producers and all that. But basically, they got away. They wanted creative control. They knew they had something. They wanted to do something with it. So that's what they did.
That is so cool. Like that's it's almost like history repeats itself, because I feel like this has happened before. We've had shows that had these, Disney Channel were notorious for creating their young their actors and actresses who were just playing a character, and then they become, what Hannah Montana was, Miley Cyrus, Hilary Duff did it. She was Lizzie McGuire. It's wild because I didn't know that. So it's like, it makes sense. History just repeats.
It does, of course it does. And it's like, there's nothing new about American Idol and those sorts of things. I mean, we were doing talent quests for years. People talk about those shows like Britain's Got Talent and American Idol and all these shows like they were brilliantly new at the time. And I thought, it's just a talent quest with a new name.
Yeah. It's the same shit we've been doing for years.
We've been doing it for a long time, people. Don't overthink it.
Dino, what a fantastic episode and a topic to talk on. And I think for you listening at home, it's a nice reminder to go through your playlists, scroll through your Spotifys and wherever you keep your music, and look at those songs that remind you of your parents. I think it's nice to go down memory lane, because these songs will never die. They will forever live on.
Oh, you come up with some bangers today, mate, and it was great to talk about it, and always nice because it brings back those sort of homely memories of when you were a kid, right?
It's always nice. Nostalgia is magic. Well, until next week, Dino, I'll see you when I see you, wherever you're listening from. Make sure you follow us on Spotify. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, iHeartRadio, or wherever your podcasting listening happens. Until then, Dino, I'll see you when I see you.
Which will hopefully be next week, if not before. Much love, everybody. Peace out.